Today we're talking about a keyboard, but not just any keyboard. I'm talking about the keyboard that you see behind me right here on this desk. Now obviously if you're watching this video you've already seen the title or the thumbnail, and so you know that there is something special about this keyboard. Now that really all has to do with the RGB lighting of this keyboard, which we are going to get to in just a moment, because at the end of the day it is still a keyboard, and so we've got some things to run through. But first, Whirlwind FX has a neat little giveaway going on where they'll be giving away a custom Cyberpunk 2077 skinned version of this keyboard to celebrate the game's integration with Cyberpunk 2077 on PC. This giveaway won't last forever, so for more information, check out the link in the description below, but after the video. Thank you. Thank you to Whirlwind FX for sending me the Element keyboard for review. I had no idea this thing even existed, so when they contacted me and I looked at it, I was like, wow, yeah, that would be awesome. So thank you guys, I really appreciate it. Inside the box is the keyboard itself, which we'll get to in a moment, as well as one of those plastic keycap pullers, which I say to never use, and of course the instruction manual, because you are going to kind of need it with this keyboard. There is a little bit of a learning curve when it comes to some of the deeper features of the lighting on this keyboard. They were also nice enough to include the separate padded wrist rest that is made for this keyboard, which was definitely a nice touch. Now I'm sure if you clicked on this you want to get to the lighting, so just a quick rundown of the specs. This one has Kale red switches, not the Kale box switches like we had on the Hexgear's K520. It does have a thick braided cable, which is nice. It doesn't feel flimsy or it doesn't kink up on you like some cheaper braided cables, but it's also not like Corsair levels of thick, which is just like a huge rope coming from your keyboard. It's not detachable, but that is sort of expected with full-size keyboards. You don't really see, at least I haven't seen a whole lot of full-size keyboards with detachable cables these days. So I mean, I'm not going to knock it for that. It is a full-size keyboard as well, which I just don't prefer. I hate that when I use this thing when gaming, I bump my mouse into it sometimes, which is just one of the reasons why I've stopped using full-size keyboards. That's nothing against the keyboard itself though, it's all personal preference. Now the build and design of the frame is pretty interesting. It's got a brushed aluminum top and plate, which it looks nice, it feels premium, and then when you turn it around in the back, it's got like a carbon fiber look, which is, I feel like it kind of clashes with the brushed aluminum, but it's also kind of nice. I like the fact that they chose to put the carbon fiber only on the bottom, because I feel like on the full keyboard, it might look a little gaudy or a little just too much. There is the embossed logo, the Whirlwind FX logo at the bottom, and it's a nice little touch that I feel kind of adds to like the feeling of this is a premium higher end keyboard. Now the keycaps are weird. As far as I know, I think they're ABS keycaps. They seem like they're ABS keycaps. Now the thing that makes these keycaps a little unusual compared to some of the pre-built keyboards you'd buy out there, the stock keycaps that'll come on them, is most keycaps that come with pre-built keyboards are either going to be just like a matte finish, or they're going to have glossy sides like some of the keyboards I reviewed on in the past. Whereas the keycaps that come on this, I wouldn't say that they're glossy, but they're definitely not matte. They're kind of like a smooth, sheen, kind of, is that word, sheeny? But yeah, it might not be like super easy to tell on camera. I'll try my best to get like a shot to show you what I mean, but the feeling is weird, like they're smooth. At times they almost feel like they're a little oily, which, I mean, that could just be my grubby little chubby boy fingers, but when I feel them, like when I touch them, even my wife has checked them out, and there's like it almost feels like there's some kind of coating to them. Not in a bad way, like it feels cool. Like I like sitting here and just rubbing on these keycaps and being a real weird creepy boy. They're still not my cup of tea, not my preference as far as keycaps, but again, I've become this keycap snob over the past few months, but they're not bad. They feel like they are higher end keycaps compared to a lot of what you'd find on like any, you know, like Red Dragon or what have you that you'd buy out there. Now, as for how the keyboard feels to type on, which again is kind of the most important thing, is the feeling and sound and typing experience. It's okay. Like I kind of alluded to earlier, they're not quite on the level of like the Kale box reds, but again, the board and the backplate do have an effect on the sound and feeling of typing on a keyboard, as well as the keycaps. And I don't know, there's just something kind of empty about them. Mainly as far as like the main like letter keys, they feel fine, they sound fine, they're not bad. It's just in comparison to some like the Kale box reds I used before, they aren't super impressive, I guess you could say. They don't stand out, they're just there. They exist, they do the job. Now, the downside is the larger keys like the space bar, your shift, enter keys, etc. have like a really kind of bad rattle to them. I think that might have to do with the stabilizers that they used on this board. I don't know a lot about stabilizers really, but I know that depending on like what stabilizers a company might use, it's either going to affect the feeling or the sound of when you type on them. And I feel like, especially the space bar, it just kind of feels not great and it sounds rattly. So of course, the biggest thing, the thing that makes this keyboard unique and special is the lighting effects that you can have on this keyboard, and it is really quite something. There is software that you can download that you're going to need to really get the experience out of the lighting that this keyboard can do. There's all kinds of different presets, even community-made presets for the lighting that you can select to have on the keyboard at all times. Now, while that is cool, the thing that really makes the RGB on this keyboard stand out is the fact that you can sync the lights on the keyboard to one of your monitors. Now that is just like, what? I don't know if there's any other keyboards out there that can really do that. It's the first one that I've heard of that can do it, and I think it does it fairly well. Now, it's not going to look like you have basically a screen on your desk. There is still just one RGB LED per key like any other RGB keyboard, but the fact that they're able to somewhat mimic the lighting on your screen to give you an ambient lighting on your desk on the keyboard is a firework. It's the 4th of July today as I'm filming this. It's the daytime, but you know, the neighbors don't really seem to care about that. Anyway, speaking of fireworks, you could do that probably on this keyboard. I don't know. But yeah, it's the fact that it gives you this ambient lighting on your desk to just sort of add to the immersion. Say that with me now. Immersion. Now you might be thinking, like, what's the point of that? You're not going to be looking at your keyboard when you're gaming, and that's true. It is sort of a gimmick, but I think it's a nice gimmick. It's cool. I like how it looks, and it's not inherently just for gaming. It copies your monitor. Like, yeah, it's not like necessary. It's not something that everybody would need. It's not something that is going to make the rest of the keyboard experience any better, but it's just cool. And if you're buying this keyboard, you're buying it probably for those lighting effects. I actually have a set of Philips Hue Play on my desk, which also can be used to sync with your monitor. So I'm going to kind of give you guys a little demonstration of both of those at the same time. This is a very specific and expensive, when you combine the two. If you've got a Philips Hue Play or you buy a Philips Hue Play and then you get this keyboard, you can do this. Totally excessive, totally unnecessary, but it's neat. If you're the kind of person who's okay with throwing some money at some pretty colored lights in your room, like a lot of gamers and PC enthusiasts are these days, then this is something to look at and consider. I can only imagine what this keyboard might look like with some pudding keycaps or some even fully transparent keycaps. I think I've even seen transparent keycaps made for this keyboard. Now, is the lighting worth it? I mean, this thing is about $99, so it's not the cheapest keyboard out there, but it's also like a pretty nice quality of keyboard. Even with the lighting aside, you are getting something that is fairly higher quality. I, again, don't really like the stabilizers, but if you're somebody who's into modding or customizing, that might be something you can change yourself and still have the nice lighting effects. The keycaps can be replaced, but if not, the ones that are included are just fine. And the Kale Red switches, they don't stand out to me like I said, but they're not bad. They're just there. They're adequate, they get the job done, and that's all you really need. So if this sounds like the keyboard for you, if you're seeing these lighting effects on the screen right now and you're like, wow, that sounds worth it to me, I will include a link in the description so you can go check it out. And if you do like it, you could just let me know in the comments below and say, thank you, Portly, you're the best, and I like you, and I wish I could subscribe to you twice. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's really nice to say. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, consider hitting the like button, consider subscribing, leave a nice comment. If you hated it, give me a thumbs down and leave a mean comment. Interaction is interaction, and I'll take it how I can get it, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, you heard it, folks. Portly will take it how he can get it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, toodaloo.